As a social consumer app startup founder, I've read and listened to lots of social apps founding stories to learn how they build and grow their product that now become part of our daily life. Today, we're gonna dive into some practical lessons I've learned from Uber's success story and what I've learned and how I and you can apply to our own startups. We'll be covering some unpopular hacks and timeless takeaways that are extremely valuable for us startup founders. The first lessons I've learned from Uber when building product is that sometimes psychological solution is easier than technical solution. Everyone is familiar with the Uber map, right? You feel reassured when seeing in real time your taxi driver on their way to pick you up. The Uber map is a really cool idea that helps people feel less frustrated when waiting for a taxi. It doesn't actually make the taxi come faster, but it does make waiting feel like 90% less frustrating. The founder of Uber got the idea while watching a James Bond movie and realized that waiting feel worse actually when you don't know how long it will take. So the map makes waiting feel less uncertain, almost like there are more taxis on the road than there really are. This example was mentioned in Rory Sutherland's book called Alchemy, The Surprising Power of Ideas That Don't Make Sense, that I highly recommend if you want to know marketing hacks by understanding like human psychology and behavioral science. Again, another example from the book is that making a train journey 20% faster might cost hundreds of millions, but making it 20% more enjoyable might cost like almost nothing by providing like a good service, free snacks, relaxing space, and so on. So before trying to add another technical and complex feature to your product, just take a step back and think whether there's a way to achieve the same results by implementing psychological solution. I also mentioned in a previous video that Instagram also pre-uploaded users' post photo while they are writing the caption so that when they hit submit, it went just live instantly. In general, if you look around, those psychological solutions are pretty much everywhere. Imagine you go to a restaurant and they give you like a glass of water and some bread as soon as you sit down. This little thing might not seem like a big deal, but it can make you feel like the restaurant cares about you and wants you to be happy. Because of this, you might enjoy your meal more and want to come back to the restaurant again. It doesn't actually change the taste of the food, but the value perceived by the customers is higher than without any small gesture. As a personal experience in my startup SewaYou app, when users upload their profile picture, there's like a loading spinner blocking any further interaction. I can technically make the process faster, but instead it's just easier to make the loading spinner non-blocking and just allow users to do something else while their profile picture is being uploaded in the background. The next lessons I've learned from Uber is that sometimes a little bit of evil is required to win big. Did you know that in the early days of Uber, actually Uber was illegal in some cities? Basically, due to some regulations and laws, the government in some cities wants to regulate or even stop Uber from operating there. So in order to avoid getting caught by the government, Uber used something called the gray ball strategy. In a nutshell, what gray ball does is that it finds out whether the person requesting a ride is a government official or someone who might hurt Uber's business. If it thinks that the person is a threat, then their ride request will be automatically rejected, or they would be shown a fake version of Uber app that doesn't show any available cars. Uber said that they did it to protect their drivers and riders, but some people thought that it was wrong and unfair. Eventually, because of all the criticism, Uber just stopped using the gray ball strategy in 2017. While the strategy was criticized for being unethical, it allowed Uber to continue operating in areas where it was not yet legal, giving the company like a competitive advantage over traditional taxi services. They then become too big to be stopped. Uber's gray ball strategy highlights the importance of being a little bit evil to succeed in the competitive world of startups. The startups world is not a playground where you come to handshake with your bros and make friends and socialize with your buddies. It's a battleground where every move counts and decisions can make or break your company's future. Uber was not the only company using shady means to grow. In the early days of Airbnb, they used Craigslist to help people find their website and grow quicker. They even made like an automated tool that let people post their listing on both Airbnb and Craigslist at the same time. And this made it easier for people to reach more potential customers and get more bookings. Of course, it was a violation of the Craigslist terms of service and they took action against Airbnb, but Airbnb was already becoming big by then. If you take a close look, some big giant techs use to some extent some evil tactics to grow. For example, Google search uses web crawlers or bots to index the entire internet without the owner's explicit consent. If they were to ask permission first one by one, I don't think the internet would be what it is today. Or should we talk about copyright infringement related to companies in the field of generative AI like OpenAI ChatGPT or Midjourney? Plenty of artists complain that their work get used to train models without the explicit consent, and those companies make money on the back of those artists' hard works. You can notice a pattern here. Those companies become so good and so big that they can leverage capital and powerful lawyers to lobby and bend the laws to their own benefits. Of course, ethics in software and product development is itself an entire topic to discuss. In Y Combinator's startup application, there's even like a question asking the founders to tell about a time when they most successfully hacked some non-computer system to their advantage. A bit of hack in a positive way is crucial to build successful startups. As a personal experience, in order to promote my startup SewaYou, a location language exchange app, I sometimes post like anonymous comments on blog articles that rank different like language exchange app for the year, alongside with like other well-known apps in the same category. Some of those articles have a lot of traffic, so this way readers who come across the blog article will see my startup name and may try it out if they have already tried the other ones. Alright, before moving to the next lesson, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more startup and business lessons I've learned while building mine. Alright, the next lessons I've learned from the founding story of Uber is that you need to spend money to make money. I'm sure you heard a million times the startup advice to stay frugal and to be careful with spending. Not every startup has the money that Uber has, but proportionally to the money they had, Uber's aggressive spending in its early days helped it dominate the market and outcompete rivals like Lyft. Uber wanted more people to use their apps, so they spent a lot of money on things like bonuses for drivers, ads, and going to new places. This helped them get more drivers and riders on their platform. Even though they lost a lot of money at first, they became really popular and made a lot of money in the end. In 2017, Uber was spending an average of $600 million per year on driver incentives in the United States alone. Heck, when they entered China, Uber was spending like $40 million to $50 million in a week in just incentive. Insane, right? Because gaining drivers on their platform is a zero-sum game, meaning that a driver can mostly only drive for one company. Uber was willing to spend a lot to acquire those drivers and create a network effect. Uber also had a big party celebrating their milestone when hitting a $10 billion milestone in gross revenue, more known as X to the power of X. They even invited public figures like Beyonce. Just the party itself cost $25 million, which was more than twice the amount of their Series A funding, which was only 11 million. Except for having fun, the big party also served the purpose of increasing the company branding toward investors, making Uber as the next hot startup to invest and increase like fear of missing out, but also attracting talent. This approach might be controversial, but it ultimately paid off for Uber, making it the dominant player in the ride-hailing industry. At my startup SewaYou, we also start to spend a little bit of money to create like long-lasting digital assets, like investing in making these videos that can increase the brand awareness, acquiring new users, attracting potential talents, or even getting connected to potential business partners. Another lesson I've learned from Uber is their strong sense of competition. Uber's biggest competitors was Lyft. Uber and Lyft, along with other ride-hailing companies, have a big challenge. They need to have enough drivers and riders on their platform to make sure everything runs smoothly. This is called critical mass, and it's an important goal for any ride-hailing startup. Uber offers attractive perks to drivers to get them to sign up for their platform. Also, they offer rewards to drivers who refer and bring other drivers to join Uber as well. In the early days, Lyft used a bright pink mustache as a branding element, which became a recognizable element of the company. In response, Uber launched a counter campaign called Shave the Stash, which was a direct war declaration against Lyft. As time went on, Uber and Lyft changed their branding and marketing strategies. They moved away from the more competitive tactics they used in the past. Lyft no longer used the mustache and instead has a more subtle glow sign on the dashboard of its driver's car. There have even been some reports of Uber employees ordering fake rides to mislead Lyft drivers into going to fake pickup spots. This was done so that Uber cars would quickly pick up available riders in the area. The competition between Uber and Lyft emphasizes the importance of having a strong competitive mindset in the world of startups. Peter Thiel, a renowned venture capital investor, believes that the ultimate goal for startups should be to achieve a monopoly. He argues that having a monopoly can be beneficial for a startup because it allows the company to focus on internal growth and innovation instead of just competing with others. Although Uber might not be a true monopoly, it has a lot of brand awareness and customer loyalty, which makes it hard for competitors to enter the market. This is the key to building a successful startup, which is finding a way to differentiate yourself from the competition and building a defensive mode. At the end of the day, it's a zero-sum game, so if a rider uses Uber, they cannot ride on a Lyft cab at the same time. And the same goes for drivers. They cannot drive for both companies simultaneously. My startup SewaYou is a social networking app that connects people to new people beyond their friend circle. This gives us an opportunity to attract more users because people tend to use many apps to meet new people. Unlike apps that only connect users with their friends, our app allows people to make new connections with people they don't already know. This is appealing to people who enjoy meeting new people, and they often use many apps to expand their social circle. Alright, the last lesson I've learned from Uber is to know when to quit. When Uber tried to enter Chinese markets, they were spending millions on free rides and driver bonuses every week. Local drivers quickly gamed the system by using modified smartphones or software to place fake bookings and deceive Uber into paying out money for fake and ghost trips just to earn the reward. Despite spending millions, Uber couldn't compete with their local biggest competitor, Didi Chuxing, and decided to sell its China operations due to many reasons. So first, Didi had a better understanding of the Chinese market and tailored its services accordingly. Didi had better relationships with local government and taxi companies, which helped them navigate regulatory issues. Didi also offered a wider range of services such as taxi hailing, private car hailing, and ride sharing, which made it more convenient for customers. And Didi was backed by major Chinese tech companies including Alibaba, Tencent, which gave it significant financial and strategic advantages. So Uber's struggle in China teaches us the importance of knowing when to quit and avoid falling into the sunk cost fallacy. The decision to quit the expansion in China allowed Uber to focus on other markets where it had a better chance of succeeding, demonstrating the wisdom of cutting losses and moving on. As for my startup SewaYou, well, we are here to stay. If you want to know the startup lessons I've learned from the founding story of Instagram, watch this video here. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to avoid missing startup lessons you can learn and apply to grow your own startup.